Here's what I've learned about life. The greatest thing that you can live by. Nothing lasts forever. Sounds cool and cliche. Let me tell you something. When you have a lot of money, it doesn't last forever. When you have success, be cool. It doesn't last forever. Knowing how business works and understanding that that's a temporary win, everybody has to learn that on their own, in their own way, if they're not taught properly from good mentorship or good coaching. I couldn't get to the next season of my life with my level of thinking, my level of faith.
You got burnt out at a certain point?
Oh, burnt out is the word. Burnt out, burnt up, crispy, withered away. I was on my last little twig. No one has a choice. If you just want to be a one-man band, then go out there and do your thing. But if you want to grow, build an empire, help other people like people say they do, you're going to have to go through those growing pains. You see, there's one thing to go to the next level. When you get there, you're not going to stay there. But it's another thing to grow to the next level.
And another person, and then I gotta pick up my car at 4.
It's on Turo?
Yeah.
The Corvette?
Both of them.
How much did they make this month?
Well, the Corvette just went out May 700, so that's half the car note right there. And then,
you did it for a day?
4 days.
Where they pick it up at? Airport?
If they request the airport drop off, then I'll do the airport drop off.
It has to be in 2017, right?
I think so. It has to be less than 10 years old, less than 113 miles, well, 1,000 miles. And then from there, you're good to go, pretty much. Let's say you had a car that was more than that. No, it had to be grandfathered in. So pretty much, as long as you're under like 109,000 miles, then you should be able to list your car, right? But if it goes past that, you can still keep your car on there.
But it's over 10 years, 2010.
I don't think they want anything over 10 years to be on the platform. From the last time I read the terms and conditions. But other than that, it's pretty, I've noticed this is the busy season for sure.
You been making
the car is paying for itself. That's what I would say. I would say it's kind of funny. About to pay insurance again. I'm about to pay for the sticker again. So it's like, even this morning I went over my profit and losses and tracked my numbers. The cars are paying for themselves. Not rolling in dough yet, but when this Corvette went out, I was like, yeah, I need to get higher end cars. It just makes so.
That makes 700 for the day.
No, it's 200 a day. But she got it for 4 days. It's her birthday. Cool. One more of those type of 4 days, so 8 days, and my car note is paid.
Your car note is what, $1,300?
Yeah, it's $1,274, and the insurance is $166
a month.
Yeah, and to fill up the tank is about anywhere from $75 to $91, but it's smooth. I already know that's gonna pay for itself. So now, before the end of the summer, I'm definitely getting
you had the Corvette?
Probably 7 weeks. I should remember the exact date, but...
Oh, you just bought it?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Well, mine is underwater, so I gotta total it out.
Was it over 10 years? It's so crazy, right? Because I was doing the photo shoot. We were doing the photo shoot.
And I knew.
Yeah, but the point I was making, I was probably... I don't know, maybe you didn't notice, but my demeanor when I'm shooting with the camera in my hand is put your finger on the trigger and you're running out of time. Because you ultimately had to go at a certain point, So I was shooting. One thing I've learned is opportunities don't really come in certain situations. So I imagined that day, right? I imagined it a little bit different, but we got that exact photo shoot done with the cars side by side in that exact location, the same way I wanted them parked. So I didn't expect for it to be that hot outside, right? And you were kind of under the weather and blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to do a little bit more with the cars. And then the other people were trying to, we're maybe inconveniencing the public a little bit to get the shots. But I never try to operate like there's going to be another opportunity in circumstances like that when I got the... Yeah, exactly.
So that was perfect timing. I mean, it's probably going to get totaled out, but if they cut me a check, I'll get it fixed, but then I got to get a salvage title. that's going to be another thing. So
Yeah, the
even
salvage
though I'm not
side,
planning on selling it,
Yeah.
but it's just I figured if they total it out, give me a check for it. I'm just going to go buy another one, and then if I do get it fixed, then I will sell it. Just back here.
Yeah, because they definitely don't allow salvage titles on the platform either. So that's 1, 2, 3, like, you're out of there.
Gone. Right.
Yeah, man. But how are you feeling overall? You know, I know things have been like sort of busy for you. So are there ups and downs in your business as far as like throughout the year? Because it's summertime. So do you have seasons where things are better than other seasons or other months or whatever?
So how do I answer that question? There's always seasons. Real talk. There's always seasons where it's just some produce more finances than the other, but it's almost like my season is month to month. You know, it's like the metric system is okay. This month, this is what I did. Okay, next month, this is what I did. Next month, this is what I did. So let me back up. So in the beginning, when I first started, everything was a hustle. So everything was, hey, I eat what I catch, right? That was the early stages. Then once it got to where, okay, people started telling people about me and saying, hey man, this guy, he hooked up my credit. This guy, he got me funded. He got me 5, 6 figures. Then it's like, all right, this guy isn't a scam. This guy does exactly what he said. And then from that point, it started to get good. When I say getting good, meaning it's like every person that pays, I was looking like, okay, I'm counting everyone come in. Now it's to the point whereas, at the end of the day, I just look and see, okay, how much came in? Cool. All right. Next day, how much came in? Cool. Next day, how much came in? Cool. I'm not looking at every single one. It gets to the point where, I tell people, please tell me when you pay so I can verify that I received it because, it's coming in. So, that was in the beginning season. And that's as I started to evolve. It got to the point where I had no free time. Right? I had no free time because from the moment I woke up, I'm doing files. Then in between there, I'm answering calls. Then in between there, I'm getting people funded. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
So it's like, then it got to the point where I was like, all right, wait a minute. I've seen this before. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Cut the sleeves off, mowed grass with it, right? And I said, we're not going to play this game again. That happened in my 20s. So from there, I said, nope, I need a team. And I need to automate, and I need a system to do both of them. And so that's when I started saying, okay, I had to get software for onboard. So when people were to reach out to me, they go straight into the system. And it's a process. Then once they get in, they paid, everything is there. Now it goes to my team, and my team take care of it. So then it was a process. Now that is the next season of my business. And this was just about a year and a half ago where that season came into play. And it was like, all right, I'm loving it again. I have more freedom. Freedom to do what? Well, freedom to now get back into the events game and also get into the game of marketing, advertising, and meeting people, networking, not with just people, but people that have other organizations where they need what I have. Does that make sense? All entrepreneurs need capital. Everybody needs credit. So that's there. But then I said, how do I get into contact with people who are doing what I'm doing? Right? And they're like, you know what? We haven't came up with a system of doing what you've done to get there. And then I say, okay, so I can help people who are doing what I'm doing. So I went to people that do credit repair. And I say, hey, I can, help streamline your process and take care of the workload if you have it. And we're just the people in the back as your back office. And then it got to the point where now with credit repair companies that I don't share their names, I'm the one in the background doing their work, but they're the face of their company. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then when it comes to funding, there's people who need, clients, right? Or they need, and they're brokers, and they're like, hey man, we get paid when we get clients. So then I said, all right, well, all I have to do is connect you with the clients. And that's how business continued to flow. And after that, I was just like, wow, now it's becoming an well-oiled machine. Then at that season, that's when it started to get to the point where I believe, and I truly believe, most entrepreneurs want to get to overnight. In a week, in a month. They think, hey, I'm going to get in business. I'm going to start this beautiful entrepreneurial enterprise. And it doesn't work that way. But at that phase, that's when things started coming in. Testimonials were coming in. Other referral partners were coming in. Clients were coming in. Events were happening. We were doing events in Jamaica, Hawaii. And business just in that season last year, I believe that's where business really took off. And now I'm in this season here where I have to sort through people who are reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to work with you. Hey, can I send files to you? Hey, can I refer people to you? Or hey, how can you collaborate? And this is a leading out process, because just as fast and as hard work it is to grow, we're always one decision away from everything being destroyed. So you go to the protection phase. Now I want to protect what I've built.
Understood. Man, you broke it down so well. I'm very curious, where does this all start for you? So from what I just heard, you've been an entrepreneur since your 20s or earlier than your 20s?
Yeah, mid to late 20s.
Mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
And so just now in the last, 25, 30 months, you've hit your stride where like everything is smooth and running smoothly. Would you say you're at the best you've ever been currently?
Absolutely. I truly believe that it takes 40 years to be 40. It takes 30 years to be 30. It takes 20 years to be 20. There is no hack, accelerated program. You have to live 40 years to be 40. And so when you ask me, am I at my best? Meaning, yes, when it comes to life's experiences, I believe life and experience is the best school there is for growth. People listening to this all day long, they can listen to this, listen to the replay, listen to it, watch it, and be inspired, pumped up, motivated. But until you actually get out there, put your muscle to the bone and your bone to the gristle, you won't experience what it's like until you actually had money in your hand. We're in the room shaking hands, closing deals, seeing your bank account grow, and having the gratification or having just the happiness of knowing that, man, I see where I started and where I've come, and you can now measure your own success on yourself, not on the success of other people, and be competitive. And it's a beautiful thing. And so I would say, yes, I'm at the best I've ever been because of the wisdom, the knowledge, and the practical application. You see, there's a lot of people out here, and I got to give it up to David Goggins, man. He's one of my mentors that I listen to when I'm working out, when I'm doing things, when I'm setting new heights. He pumps me up, right? We both come from the Special Forces background in the Navy. So it's like, how do you really know who to listen to, who to follow? You see, when I started out, I was listening to theorists, right? People who say, well, this is what you have to do. Here's what, a lot of psychologists and a lot of people who have done research and studies. I don't listen to those people anymore. Those are theorists. I listen to practitioners, people who say, I did this, this is what happened. I did this, this is what did not happen. Those are the people that I listen to. And what I found out as I put more into practitioners, things begin to happen.
I like that a lot. I think it's called the word called charlatans,
Okay.
and then people that could spit the script, they have regurgitated theory.
Yep.
Right? Ran into a few of those where it's just like,
They watch YouTube and they can recite it and do. Come on, we all.
And it sounds so good and they on point, but it's just like
live it.
You peel back the layers,
Live it.
and it's like over time you just see people's true colors really start to show, really show what they really got going on in real life, and it's just like, man, you just pray to God, like whether you invested with them or in them, type of thing. Like you want to see those true colors, because it's easy. It's easy to work with somebody when they're on a winning streak, but I'm actually cautious of that because they're on a winning streak. What does it look like when things aren't so smooth? Are they sweating? Are they like, do they crack under pressure? That's how you really see their real personality, type of thing. Where, oh, and here's another thing. Especially when a person is on a winning streak, they could be slightly delusional about how much they're actually winning versus what's actually their actual results. They can be like, and then so that overconfidence could actually skew a couple things. It's like if they're undefeated. How can you even see from another person's perspective, or even take advice or anything of that nature, right?
Well, it's here's what I've learned about life, and I'm telling you, man, everybody who's listening to this, I'm telling you, man, the greatest thing that you can live by. Nothing lasts forever. Sounds cool and cliches. Let me tell you something. When you have a lot of money, it doesn't last forever. When you have success, be cool. It doesn't last forever. And that works the same way when you broke. It doesn't last forever. If you're struggling, trying to make it, it doesn't last forever. So I took that even kill mindset to whereas I can't get too excited about a win because make no mistake about it. It's not going to last forever. Mm-hmm. So I take it like I'm doing a 1,000 squat challenge, right? This month I'm doing 1,000 squats in 1 hour for 31 days. This morning, it's funny we said, my right leg is feeling it, man. It's like, it's there, right? Today, I said I'm going to beat my record. I finally beat my record yesterday. And so now today, I got to beat my record again. So this morning when I woke up, I said, all right, I started at 55 minutes. Then I brought it down in the high 50s. Then I brought it down in the 40s. And I was like, yeah, crushing it. Then I brought it down mid 40s and I stayed there for a few days. Then I brought it down to the early 40s. Boom, yesterday, 39 minutes. Then I said, okay, how am I going to beat this? So this morning, when I got up, made up my mind, I said, I know how I'm going to beat it. I got it. It was struggling. I put everything into it, and I only beat it by 1 minute.
Wow.
I did more than I did yesterday, struggled more, and I only beat it by 1 minute. And what that taught me is that my success for today lasts until I wake up tomorrow morning and begin again. I only get to enjoy this feeling for about 23 to 24 hours. That's it.
I've been feeling that way lately. Like when every day is a new to-do list in a sense, like a million things you got to accomplish. Yeah. So I'm like, I've heard the saying, like you rent success. It's some, I'm not gonna quote it correctly, but the dream is free, but when it comes to success, it's like something you rent out on a daily basis.
But the hustle is so separate.
Yeah,
it is. It's like I only get to enjoy this feeling 20. It makes me not even want to enjoy it because I know tomorrow when I wake up, I'm staring at 38 minutes and I'm saying I want to crush 38 minutes. When I knew what it takes to get down to 38 minutes, how in the world am I going to beat 37? How? It's like, how?
Wow.
So the thing that I realized is, guess what? Let's say tomorrow I get up, boom, I'm back in the 40s, right? Tired, stayed up too late. I wasn't feeling it. My body could not. Now I'm at 40 minutes. Now I can be like, man, I'm going backwards. But guess what? I will only feel that feeling for how long?
That day.
24 hours. Tomorrow I get up, boom, I got another opportunity to do it again. So nothing lasts forever. And every day you got an opportunity to better your best. But as you're doing that, man, it's a compound interest. You get better and better. So that's why I say right now I'm at my best, because I've had every opportunity to be where I'm at right now and to be where I'm at right now. And with every day I get another.
That leads me to ask you, because we're just like talking, right? Having a real conversation. Even for the people that not familiar with you. So honestly, even my introduction to you, you were literally like a ghost. I was having a conversation even yesterday with my team or whatever about how I run into people that they're pretty much ghosts. Like, you got to network to meet somebody of your caliber, period. Like, you kind of have to get an introduction in a way, right? So whatever, people can Google you or try and find out whatever they want to find out, do their background due diligence, right? Maybe there's not too many interviews. What should the world actually know about you that you would want them to know? Like, who are you for the people that are watching?
So I'm gonna tell you this, man, and I mean this from all my heart. I am nothing but a person who manages my gift. That's it. You know, the Bible says your gift will make room for you, put you in the presence of many men. I know that if I manage my gift is going to do its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
God put the gift in me. So I don't have to try and make another gift or remanufacture a gift. All I have to do is manage the gift. And what do I mean by managing it? I got to do the 4 things that take any business to the next level. So the one thing that I have to do to take any business to the next level is, the first thing I got to do is I got to be fruitful with my gift, meaning I have to be productive with it, right? I got it, but what am I doing with it? Am I keeping it to myself? Am I only sharing it with my friends and family? Or am I giving it out to the world?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the first thing of managing my gift. That's all that I do. That's all that I am. Second thing, after I'm fruitful with my gift, I got to multiply it. So I got to be able to not only give it away, but whoever I'm giving it to, they have to be able to give it away too. But they have to be able to share it, right? Remanufacturing it. You know, just like if you got a product, right? You need a manufacturer that can mass produce it to the world, right? Because if you're doing it at a mom and pop shop and only people who know about you is the people in your local hometown zip code, are you really successful?
Right.
So that's the second thing. After I'm fruitful, after I multiply, then I gotta subjugate it. I have to be able to, as it's going out, create other people in different countries, cities, states, zip codes, for them there to be able to profit from it. What I mean by profit from it, by saying that, hey, because I know of this, I want to share with you what I know of this. And now everybody profits from the original gift. Nobody wants to be around a winner and not win.
Mm-hmm.
You got that?
That's a fact. That is a fact. 100%.
And when I learned that I can't have people around me that's not winning, because imagine you and I, right? If you're always around me and all you do is seeing me win, make money, win, and you broke, eventually you're going to say, why am I around this guy? Right?
Exactly.
So now, after I'm fruitful, after I multiply, after I subdue everywhere around, but everyone wins as well, now I got dominion. Now I dominated my area of gifting. And I truly believe that's the purpose of God putting us on this earth, to dominate, but not to dominate other people. Just dominate in our area of gifting, to where our gift will make room for us. It'll clear out countries and put us in the presence of many men. While you're over in another country, your gift is in the presence of many men and is continuously growing. So that's what I would love the world to know. It's like, hey, I'm a man of faith who loves to serve, but I only serve the gift that God has given me to manage.
All right, cool. So let's take it back to the beginning. Like, You say you've been an entrepreneur since like your 20s. Like, where did it all start? Have you ever even worked a real job ever in your life, or?
Absolutely, man. I, I, here's how I can say this. I truly believe that you gotta know or have a taste of what you don't want because that's what's going to keep you motivated to not do it. Make sense?
Yeah.
So, as a teenager, well, let me take it back. Even before I was a teenager, my dad, you know, he taught us to work, and not to be lazy and to really grind. So I started out as a little kid doing phone books and paper routes, like in the snow and in the heat. He really taught us that. Then from there, after that, I got a job working at a bank. Then it was no, first it was Jewels, like a grocery store. Then I went McDonald's, and then I said, you know what, I think I want to work at a bank. So I worked at the bank up until I graduated. And then when I graduated, I went into the military, of course. And then after the military, I got out. And then that's when I was introduced to entrepreneurship, and from entrepreneurship, it was like, wait a minute, you know what? Oh, no. Let me take a step back. This was what really got me. So it was a company, shipping company for the airport, a trucking thing, where the trucks come in, get the load. So I was in there and I was working. And when I came in there, obviously I felt like I didn't belong there from the jump. It was like I came there, creased up uniform, telling people, hey, we got to do it this way. Hey, this stuff was scribbled on the board, everything. And it was just unkept. It was messy. It was no motivation, no nothing. And I was like, why am I even here? But I needed a job.
Right.
So I was there doing it. And literally after about a week and a half or so, the manager came in and she was just like, hey, you're causing a disturbance here because, people are listening to what you're saying and they want to follow you instead of following me, and I'm the manager. So you're going to have to not try and inspire and tell people.
Really? What age range was this?
What?
What age range was that?
I was 25.
Huh.
25 doing it, yeah. And then from there, I was just like, hey, you can take this name badge, shove it up your seat. I was like, hey, I'm good. And then I left. And from there, I came out. I had told my parents this, man, because I was struggling. I'm living out of my truck, trying to figure it out. And then that's when I got introduced to entrepreneurship. And I actually got introduced to entrepreneurship from one of my exes. She's from Africa. And she introduced me to entrepreneurship downtown Chicago. And once I started seeing that, wow, you can be a foreigner and come here and be successful, and yet I have a social, and I've lived here and I served my country, and I'm not successful. Wait a minute. And so that really shifted my paradigm, and she taught me a lot. And from there,
so she was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What did she exactly say? Like, you guys were dating, and then what triggered it to?
So we dated for just about a little over 2 years. And in the 2-year time frame, it's not so much about what a person says, it's about what a person does. And so being able to be in close proximity with her and seeing her and watching her every day. And I was like, wow. And then she would bring me into the fold, and she trusted. Like, I remember it was, I met her, and then when I met her, about like a week later, she had to go back to Africa or something. And she said, hey, can you help me? I was like, sure. And so she was like, all right, this is what you need to do. So we were doing. And I had to collect the money and put it in her bank account every day. Right? So here she is overseas, trusting me with thousands of dollars to put it in her account.
It was like a brick and mortar. What industry?
Yeah, brick and mortar. It was in the entertainment industry. So I was just like, wow, I was like, she trusts me. And the fact that, I'm trustworthy, of course. And then that's how we grown close over a couple of years. She taught me about trust. She taught me about taking risks. She taught me about dealing with people, in business, and, that was powerful, man. So like to this day, I'm forever grateful. She knows who she is. Forever grateful for exposing me to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I remember my exposure to entrepreneurship as well. A guy I call him Uncle Mike. Yeah, it's that. He literally, he's like, we're gonna get you a 750 credit score. Do you know Navy Federal? They handing out these large limit credit cards like candy. Anybody with a 750, so you got to get a 750. Go get a 750. Go open up. He literally showed me how to get my EIN number. You know, he helped me with the first one, and then like a month later, I did the second one, just the EIN, and then register it with the state. Boom, boom, boom. I didn't realize the value at the time. I just followed what he said.
Exactly.
That's all I did. I just went to the bank. I said what he told me to say. Boom. Gave me my first business credit card.
Boom.
I didn't even hit the sign up bonus because I wasn't even aware of that they'll like, oh, you spend a couple grand to give you a couple hundred within 90 days. So that exposure, like, how did I go all the way through those college years without even knowing the word entrepreneur? Or maybe I knew the word in my teenagers, but I didn't
wasn't
have
really popping in college. You know, I remember Norfolk State University when I was in Virginia. A young lady said, "I'm minor in entrepreneurship studies," and I was just like, "What the heck is entrepreneurship?"
Huh.
You know, it's just crazy how. And now entrepreneurship is like the leading thing everybody does. You know, now.
Yeah, now it's popping. Now it's like entrepreneurs are the new rappers. Instead of mixtapes, we're waiting on ebooks. So it's like, it's really, the financial realm has really become popular, especially since like COVID and all that.
Sure.
But that's interesting, your introduction to entrepreneurship. So like from there, like you were working with her, and then how'd you branch off to do your own thing? Did you ever go corporate for a little bit, or where does it go from there, meeting her?
From there, of course, I said, okay, what is it that I can do to be successful at this entrepreneurship? But what happened was tragic was my grandmother. I lost my grandmother to cancer. You know, she was struggling with cancer. I had to go through the process of seeing someone who weighed a certain weight and then go to nothing, to bones. And it wasn't until she was in her not in the hospital, but they released her on hospice. And when she was in her home downstairs in her living room, she was on a hospice bed, and I remember her when she was sitting there, and she grabbed me by the hand and she said, "Make me a promise." And I said, "What is it, Grandma?" She said, "Promise to me whatever it is that you want to give me while I'm laying here, how much love you have for me. Give it to everyone else, everywhere you go, with everything you got until it's your turn to be on your deathbed." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, Grandma." And she died right there in my hand. Never left me to this day. And so from that moment, I said, you know what? I don't want other people to experience what I went through. And so that's what I said. Let me help them be fit, healthy, and work out. And that's what inspired me to open a gym. And that was my very first entrepreneur EIN. Actually, I started with a sole proprietor. I didn't understand S Corp, C Corp, LLC. I just started out with a sole proprietorship. And then from there, I continuously graduated up into S Corp, then C Corp, and then one gym, two gym, three gyms, and it spiraled down through another bunch of events. But that's how I got started.
Wow, that's amazing. I never knew that. So you got your EIN, you got your articles. To open up a gym, to even walk past a location and you say that's the building. What is the steps you're actually taking to accomplish this?
So I started out in a large building by the train station downtown in the West Loop. I was renting out a gym down in the basement of this huge building, and I rented out a space upstairs in Regis, right? So I was doing that. So I rented out the space and I was using the gym downstairs to start my business. And the reason why is because I was in a suburb, and I said, when I take the train in, all these people are right here by the building. It was like 200 South Wacker. That was my very first place, but it was right downstairs. I get on the train, go home, and all the people there. So I was handing out flyers and telling people about the gym, everything like that.
And it was cool, but what started to happen was that I was only reaching people who can afford to pay really expensive prices. I'm 28, premier pricing, but yet I'm not reaching the people who look like my grandma. Picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
So from there, I said, nah, man, I need to really go to where people who look like my grandma that I can really serve and help. Because that's the reason why I got started. And it was conflicting.
Right.
So then I went to further south in the South Loop, and I started out on the street on Halstead. I started from Wacker and Halstead, and I just walked all the way down. And I just kept looking at for rent signs and looking, and when I saw it was an abandoned building, but it said for rent. And I was like, how does someone rent in an abandoned building? I was like, crazy. So I called the number. When I called the number, the guy picked up, his name was Carlos. Called the number, I said, hey man, how much is the rent here? He said, let's talk about it. I was like, talk about it? So I'm like, what are you talking about? So I went there, talked to him, he opened it up. It was that the floor was missing in the floor. There was a big hole in this cement floor. And he was just like, hey, this could be yours. He was like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I'm looking at an abandoned building, talking about, you mean to tell me I'm going to be this successful entrepreneur, everybody want to work out me, and I'm looking at this?
He had the vision.
No, he sold me on because he was like, whoever, I don't care who can come in here. I'm sure he just wanted to get someone in there. But anyway, I said, well, come look at where I'm at now. So he actually came down to the gym on Wacker with me. I had to sign him in. And he said, oh, this is where you're at? And immediately he said, whoa, okay. I may have overshot, my yardage. But he said, hey, and you never, and this is what I want to share, man. When you're working on your dream, entrepreneurship, something that you really want, your blessings don't come how you want them to come.
Man, I wish people would understand that, because I literally recently realized that, like slowly getting things that I want. Not how I imagined it, but hey, it's happening. It's so I think something that cripples a lot of people is them expecting their dream to happen exactly to the T how they imagined it. And then God will be trying to open up a door. You could be staring at what you want right in front of you, but it's not the story that was in your actual dreams. But it's still the same thing. You just have to literally like walk through the door and then experience it. And then I think the gratitude and appreciation comes after you take that leap and you pretty much you accept it. Like, okay, it wasn't exactly how I imagined. Like in the movies and the Disney movies or whatever, like, oh, dreams come true, but God sort of has his own sense of humor of making it happen.
You gotta believe it, man. And that's a comedy show that you can't miss.
Exactly. So that's interesting. So like building a gym, you were renting out a space, your first one, like you had to get all the equipment, right? Like yourself?
Absolutely. Actually, I'll even share it more, be a little more transparent. There was another guy. His name is Dave. This guy believed in me, I think even more than I believed in myself. But he gave me a chance. And here's another thing that I want to drop on people is that there will be people that come in your life that don't look like you, maybe not even understand where you came from. And those are the ones who are literally sent in your life for that season to get you to the next level. I call those people the step pushers, because what they do is they push a step, and once you step up to the next level, that's the only reason why they were in your life.
That's interesting.
And so he came and he gave me a step. I didn't even have enough money to even get the place, but he said, if you're doing this, I believe in you. Here's $2,500. I had to do $1,200 a month. He gave me first month, last month, $2,500 check, wrote it out, gave it to Carlos. He took that check, gave me the key, and he said, it's yours, and now I'm going to help you. He took that thing so fast. He was like, somebody in here. But what happened was,
Before you move on from that guy that decided to help you, do you recall how you even ran into him?
Yeah. So how I ran into him was, man, you're making me think. I tell you, I was a trainer at this local gym in Bolingbrook. And when I was training him, when I was a trainer there, he was one of my clients. And then from there, when you train people, personal train, it's very personal. You talk about things, and I share with him about one day owning a gym and he said, man, you're really good at this. He was like, if I don't think of anyone else that could open their own gym, be very successful, it's you. Well, I was training him back before I even thought to open my own gym. And so, and yeah, that's how I met him. And then, fast forward another year, boom, he's the one that helped me get started. I'm with that, man.
That's amazing.
Imagine if I wasn't giving it my all then. A lot of people say, well, they despise humble beginnings. They despise beginnings, period. Everybody wants to begin shining. No. When a seed is in the ground, you don't even see the dang thing. And it's covered up in dirt. And it grows down first before it grows up.
Damn, he's spitting right now.
It's like, if people will understand that, they'll be able to be more successful. But they want to be outside the dirt looking like a tree producing fruit, and they don't understand the foundation is more powerful than the fruit.
That's deep. Damn, the way you put that together, it makes so much sense. I try to explain. You're better with words than I am. I try to explain that to people, maybe that I'm trying to inspire and help. I don't want to say inspire, like literally level up. But the way you were able to break it down, it makes perfect sense. Like about like really planting seeds in the right spots, and then being patient. There's a difference between waiting and a difference between being patient, because a lot of people just stay where they are and they use the excuse like they're patient. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you meet this guy, he helps you, you get one gym, you get equipment, you get some clients in, but they're kind of higher end clients. You move a little bit south to help the more people that look like you a little bit more, right? And then you're able to, because business is running smoothly from the first gym, you're able to get the second location, I'm assuming?
So, this is how this happened. So, in the first location, it was 1,700 square foot box, right? And I didn't have equipment. I had what I call toys, because everything I did was based on functional movement.
Oh, okay.
Instead of putting weights on an unstable, weak body, start from the inside out. So I started with stabilization, then strength, then power. Instead of starting with just lifting weights with power on an unstable, no balance. It was just, people love my methodology when it comes to working out the body and being healthy and then growing. So I didn't need much equipment, but the classes was growing, the clientele was growing. There's only so many hours in a day. Like I was telling you earlier, I've been to that movie before. I know exactly how it ends up. But when I was first starting out, I know that I wanted to train the world. But I realized after around 8, 9 clients, that's it. Would you turn people away?
Would you say you got burnt out at a certain point?
Oh, burnt out is the word. Burnt out, burnt up, crispy, withered away. I was on my last little twig.
So you were the business. You weren't a business owner just yet. You were the business. It was like self-employed, quadrant, like.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. There's a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where it talks about the 4 quadrants. And I literally was a high-paid self-employer. And if I didn't work, I didn't get paid. So I was broke, but I was broke in my business. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
So I didn't have anything that was an asset-producing vehicle. I was the asset. And then I would bring on trainers, and sometimes the trainers, I would train them, and then they were like, I want to do what you do. Everybody, like, I want to do what you do. I want to make the money like you do. I want to really be this. And I'm just like, cool, I'll teach you, or just watch me. And guess what they did? They went around the corner, tried to open up a gym and take all my clients.
Wow.
It's reality. Hey, I look at it right now, I say I really couldn't blame them, because they didn't come up with knowing how business works and understanding that that's a temporary win, everybody has to learn that on their own, right? In their own way, if they're not taught properly from good mentorship or good coaches. I, on the other hand, had good coaches, good mentorship, and I had a relentless and ridiculous, unmatched work ethic. And my mindset was already set from being a child, my dad teaching me about work, going to military, being in special forces, and now making a decision after my grandmother had died. I had three things that I had experienced that gave me an unfair advantage over other entrepreneurs. And so it was just, I realized that I needed trainers. So then I brought in trainers. Now we're packed in a 1,700 square foot gym. What are we going to do? And then I had learned about business now, right? I had to learn about, hey, how you expand and grow and allow other people to have an opportunity to grow. So then I started renting my gym out to other trainers. Now we're splitting this space up, the 1,700 square feet. I got my clients in class over here. He got his over here. We're doing them at the same time. And it got too tight. So at that point, after making the money, I said, hey, you're making the money. Why don't you expand? And that's when I opened up the second gym within the first year.
Those people, so I wouldn't call them like proteges or just people under you, right? The trainers that you had to hire. Like you hit a plateau, you hit a ceiling, and then to get to the next level, you had to develop a team slowly. Picking those people and deciding to give them that opportunity, what was that process like? So you don't...
Don't get me started on that, man. That's like an adult daycare. I'm going to tell you right now, any entrepreneur out there, you're looking to like to have employees or tonight, it's adult daycare, man. It's like adult daycare. You know, you're making sure they're on time, making sure they're in proper uniform, making sure they're duplicating what you're doing, making sure they're not trying to steal from you, taking money under the table, making sure that their hygiene is good, you know, making sure they're not trying to screw the clients. You know, it's so many things that you have to manage to a point you're like, man, I can do bad all by myself.
I swear, that's the word right there.
Yeah, but the thing is, guess what? You're not going to grow. You need people.
So you didn't have a choice but to build that team. Like,
no one has a choice. Do you have a choice?
I don't have a choice.
No one does. If you just want to be a one-man band, then go out there and do your thing. But if you want to grow, build an empire, help other people like people say they do, you're going to have to go through those growing pains. You got to start all over as that seed in the dirt, in the dark, going down before you can go up. Then once you get one person, I remember today I had to go through, I think about like 12 people.
12 people?
Yes, just to get one good one.
Damn.
And I remember to this day, man, shout out to Gino Reeser out there, man. Gino was my dog, man. He's my boy. He's down from the Alabama boy.
He's doing good now these days?
Absolutely. Phenomenal guy. Stand-up guy. You know, Gino Reeser, man, your stand-up guy. He's an amazing father, amazing husband, and a phenomenal fitness enthusiast, personal trainer. He's just amazing, man. He was someone who, remember when I said the young lady would left and she left the money for me to transfer? I gave him access to my bank account. He could have clean wiped me out. But I had to have trust. And I'm telling you, man, there's nothing but trust. And it's like trust is earned, but the return on your investment of trust is loyalty. Let me tell you something, he was loyal. When things went wrong and I lost everything, he stayed right there. Other people, they ran away. He stayed. And so that's where, you know, there's no fast way to get a good thing.
It doesn't take 30 days.
Let me tell you something. Fast money isn't always good, and good money isn't always fast.
I swear. So what did he do specifically? Because I'm trying to break it down, like specifically to earn trust, loyalty. How did he trust you in the first place? Like, so who trusted who first?
It was mutual. You know, it's like it's give and take. So for one, he had to trust me enough to say, okay, he's going to pay me on time. He's going to allow me to grow, and he's not going to make me feel like I'm just a trainer, versus seeing him as an entrepreneur, as a business partner, as someone who can help me grow the vision. Does that make sense?
Like, he had to see that he was equal, but he understood his position.
See,
but
true, but let me share something with you. True leaders inspire other people to become leaders. And true leaders inspire leaders who are leading to help them become a better leader. So as long as he trusted me to bring out and squeeze the best out of him, I trusted him to know that he wasn't going to screw me. So it was a marriage. Does that make sense? It's a partnership. It was something that it's a beautiful thing and entrepreneurs who know it and business owners and investors who know it. When you find someone that's in your network and you find someone that's in your business that's great, you pay them well, you treat them well, and honestly, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. You're serving them. You're serving them. When you serve someone, the return on that is their loyalty. You cannot serve someone in business and they're getting what they want and they will not have loyalty. The reason why people don't have loyalty is because they're lacking something that you're not serving.
I can agree with that. I've seen that. That's why I'm asking these questions to learn. Yeah. You know, so it's like you were serving him, okay, and he saw that was a fair situation. He saw the opportunity there.
I don't believe in fair, and I can even go so far as I don't think fair is even in the Bible, right? Good, it's either right, wrong, good, bad. I believe fair is something put in there as a way out, something to smooth it over. Like, is it a good deal? It's a fair deal. Fair, why? What makes it fair? It's either good or it's bad. That's it. I think when you get into a decisioning of something being fair, you're settling for something that you really don't want, but it's a temporary gain until you look or find something that you really do want, and you're gone.
Wow. Making a lot of sense. You can give me a lot of clarity now, the way you're putting the words together. Because, so imagine a situation where, because I say it out loud in a few podcasts, when it comes to building a team, I can't pay you if I gotta train you, in the sense that I need help in my business. So it's either you're either intern or whether you're an employee, but you're obviously working your way up to get to my level to take me out of the operation so I can grow the business while I can trust you to operate it, right? So balancing, I can't pay you if I got to train you, because like it's how are you balancing and managing that aspect of it to the point where you're giving people an opportunity, but are you paying them up front depending on their skill set? You know what I'm saying?
So they fall into one or two categories. You have people who are just workers. They come work, they leave, that's it. That's good. You need people who are just workers.
Is it you tell them everything to do, or are they bringing ideas to the table?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So when you have workers, you give them a task to do, they do it. You know that if you give this to this person, they're going to do it. Then you have people who are entrepreneurs, right? So you have entrepreneurs and then you have workers. The problem is, for me, I was putting workers in entrepreneur buckets and I was putting entrepreneur buckets into worker buckets.
Wow. Okay.
So when you separate that first, things have become easy. It's clear. There are entrepreneurs who say they want to be entrepreneurs and they're workers. So they take the E and they become workers, right? So take the W off and swap the E. So now they go from entrepreneurs to wantrepreneurs.
Right.
There are a lot of wantrepreneurs out there. They call themselves entrepreneurs, faking, fronting like they're entrepreneurs. And then you get workers who really want to be entrepreneurs, but they haven't been given an opportunity. They haven't been coached. They haven't been mentored. So all they know is the safe way is to work just to sustain a way of life. So when you see a worker that has potential. Potential meaning you can see something in them that hasn't came out.
Right.
That's potential, not talk. You see potential, something in them. They're pregnant with entrepreneurship and they're waiting to give birth, and you're the doctor to give labor. You get what I'm saying? Then you get entrepreneurs who say they're entrepreneurs, nothing inside of them but working.
Wow. Okay.
So they say, no, you belong over here. You're not ready. You haven't been impregnated with entrepreneurship yet, because I don't see signs of any type of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 9 weeks. You're not ready to give birth. So you have to understand that. And you can only learn that by failing at it. You can only learn that by working with a entrepreneur, working with a worker who want to be an entrepreneur, and seeing it and going through those
and seeing it 12 times like you have, right? Like you went through all those people.
Man, I thought they were entrepreneur. I thought they were going to build. We were going to be a great team. You open up a gym over here. You open up a gym and it's all under one brand. Yeah. And once they got all the information, they was like, no, I'm going to do my own thing. And not only am I going to do my own thing, I'm going to do my own thing in the same zip code as you, with a non-compete that they sign. And I'm going to take the clients who work with me. Because clients aren't loyal to the company. They're loyal to the trainer. Facts. But guess what? They always come back if they don't get what they thought they were going to get. And they always came back.
I needed to hear that today. You would be surprised at the timing that this conversation is really helping me. It's making a lot of sense. All right, so growing from there, you find somebody you can trust because he was showing those signs. His actions was showing them he was a really entrepreneur.
He walked what he talked.
He wasn't like waiting for you to tell him to do stuff.
Never.
He was bringing ideas and energy,
Always.
enthusiasm.
Always.
Wow, that's rare. So hard to find.
Exactly.
So far. All right, cool. So then you can continue your journey. You open up these gyms, and then things just go straight up, or is it up and down, up and down? What happens after that?
So then from there, funny thing was, when you're growing, there's called growing pains. And there will be opportunities that come when the window opens. But even if the window opens like a little crack, you got to run through it. Boom, it'll close back up on you. Most people want the window to be open like this, and they look outside the window, take as much time as they want. Successful people see a crack, boom, they squeeze through that crack and go out the window, because it may not be another opportunity for another season in your life, and you don't know what that time frame may be. So an opportunity came when I was heavily into self-improvement, motivation, inspiration, business growth. And there was a guy by the name of Tony Robbins. You know, he had speakers come out, and one of his speakers came to my gym, spoke to my team, and I was like, man, this stuff is busting, right? It's cracking. It's hot.
What made you think? Yeah, so it's Tony Robbins is well known. He said a member of his team was able to come to your establishment and just level everybody up.
Yeah, his name was Scott Goss. You know, Scott Goss, still to this day a friend of mine, awesome friend of mine. We've toured as roommates around, and we overseas, Asia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. We did it all, right? So came to my gym, he spoke, man, touched my heart. I said, man, this is great. He was like, yeah, buy a ticket to come see Tony Robbins. The ticket was about $500. I was like, cool. Swiped it, everything, but it wasn't about the ticket. I was just like, man, I want to do what you do. It was like something in me was like, man, I really want to share and speak at this level and do this. It's like I saw myself doing what he was doing, and I was just like, but I'm doing this. And so talk about seasons, right? Talk about being a seed. I was exposed to that, but it wasn't my season to do it full time. But when windows of opportunity come, you got to take them. So from that time, I was already speaking to high schools, middle schools, at-risk communities, inspiring them, motivating them. But this was a whole nother level. This was going into businesses, knocking on doors, going around America saying, hey, I want to help share with you and take you to a whole nother level. What we do is we do a 45-minute presentation on success, growth, failure, what's holding you back, and how to break through, and then sell them a ticket to come see Tony Robbins, right? Well, hey, you got to be a product of the product. right? So here I am. I tell them I want to do this. I go to the event, Unleash the Power Within in Schaumburg. Boom. The first day I was there, I see 5,000 people jumping up, screaming, having a good time. I said, whoa.
So this is Tony Robbins, like one of the goats of just
Yeah.
that whole industry.
Yeah.
That's like it's not less than 500 to get in that room with 5,000 people.
No, it's packed, sir. Packed. 5,000 plus. And so I was in there and I said, this is it. You know how when you can feel something, when you go somewhere, you're like, yeah, this is me. Or you see an outfit, or you see some shoes, or you taste something, you're like, man, I love this. This is it. That's what it was. I was in there, I said, this right here. I said, yeah, this is me right here. And so that day on the spot, I told them, I said, I want to do this. They interviewed me that day. They interviewed me that day and said, you want to come on tour and speak? That day, I went in the back room and did a presentation. They said, you got potential. So I had to do another interview in LA. So San Diego. I flew all the way out to San Diego. It was like Suite 100. That's all I remember when it was the address. So I went there, did a presentation to their management level. They was like, you're going to do great, but you still got a lot of work to do. Hey. But we're going to take a risk on you. Boom. Next, 2 weeks later, I was in New York on tour with Tony Robbins.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing with that. I was conflicted because here I am getting ready to leave a business that's successful. 2 gyms. I was just turning 30. Successful. It's popping. It's busting. Why am I going to leave this to go and build and work on somebody else's company?
Was that like? Does that felt like starting from scratch in a sense, or was it?
It was a continuum, but it's like I've never done it at this level. But the way my mindset was, I mean, all the things I've done over my life, I was like, why? This is just another gradual process. So when I was in New York and I was doing it, man, I was bombing. I wasn't crushing nothing. I was horrible. I would go in, nobody buy tickets. I go speak, nobody buy tickets. I go speak again, nobody buy tickets. And the company was like, well, it's you're learning, it's new. Now at the same time, I got to manage my gyms back in Chicago while I'm in New York on tour.
Did they have some sort of training to get you up to speed? And
the training was, here's the script, learn it.
Okay. Huh.
Right.
Were they paying you reasonably?
So the cool thing was they give you a car, they give you a place to stay, and they give you like a couple grand a month to start out with for your first.
So you feel inspired to inspire.
Exactly.
So you're not on.
And see, what was they doing?
Yeah.
They was putting me in an environment and providing for me to be the best that I could be. Right? So then from there, I went down to Jacksonville, Florida. Then, it went on. But to get back on point was that when I left, I had to make a decision that I'm going out here to become better so that when I come back, I can be a better version of myself. Mm. But it didn't work out that way. I was learning, I was growing, but it was hard. And it was very risky because I had made some horrible decisions that has taught me it was horrible while I was going through it. But looking back on it, it was the best decision I could have made because I truly believe that in your roughest, darkest, most trying times, that's when you grow the most. You just can't see it because it's like you can't see the picture when you're in the frame.
Can't see the picture when you're in the frame. I wholeheartedly believe that as well, and then it might take another person to give you a different perspective, right? Now, do you want to let people know some bad decisions you might have made for them to avoid the same mistakes, or we can skip over that?
Well, see, here's the thing. Remember, they're bad decisions at the time, but they were the greatest decision that I made because I got the most growth. I can tell people all day long, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. I tell people all the time, how to work out, what not to eat. Guess what they do?
They do what makes them feel good.
So I had to learn when I was younger, and you only can learn this through experience. But, I'm not in the business of telling people what to do because they're going to do what they want to do. We all grown. No one likes to be told what to do. And I'll tell you, man, it was one of my best friends. Shout out to D. You know what it is? I was doing during the pandemic, I was doing a challenge where I said I'm gonna do 500 push-ups, and like as I first said I'm gonna do 300 push-ups in an hour, and then I said now I'm doubling, so I said I'm gonna do 600, but I end up only doing 500, and he was watching me. Now this is someone who I have been friends with since I was 13 years old.
Wow.
13, right? And 13, 14. And I opened my gym. He never came and took a class. Never came to work out with. Never came to any of my events at the time, right? Later on, he came to one of my book signings. So I said, man, I didn't know you were doing this with me. He said, I was. I said, what? He's like, yeah. And he said, I'll tell you why. There's 2 reasons why I did it. Number 1, you weren't telling me to do it. I said, whoa. And he said, number 2, I saw you struggle. You didn't seem invincible. You didn't seem like you got it all. And I can relate to you struggling because I struggle. And to see that is inspiring to know even while you're struggling, you still focusing and trying to do it. I was so pissed off at him for like 48 hours. But in it, I said, the reason why I'm pissed off because there's truth in it. And a lot of times the truth hurts. And so I said, I can either just say, man, whatever, or I can embrace it. One of the greatest decisions I ever did. Shout out to D, man. He told me that. It has catapulted a lot of my success from that moment on because I said, I'm going to stop telling people what to do. And I'm going to let them see me struggle. I'm going to let them hear about my failures. Like in this interview right here, you've heard a lot about my failures, a lot about the things that made me look stupid, dumb. And I was naive and I was immature to entrepreneurship and life in some regards, right? In a bunch of regards. And so in doing that and saying it and not telling people what to do, people are going to be inspired. And then that's when people listen to you. Kind of, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but that's.
Yeah, they got to see it to believe it in a sense, like.
Not see it to believe it. You can see stuff all day long. You got to relate to it. You relate to somebody, boom, you're in there. It's like walking in a room and someone else got the same outfit you got on. Boom, or someone is speaking the same language. You go overseas and you hear someone speaking English.
Right.
It sound like they from the same hood. Or they say, I'm from the hood. Oh, boom, y'all can relate. Y'all got some, y'all can relate. But if you can't relate, man, you can't do nothing, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go from there. You got the businesses like for the gyms, right? So where did they go after the gym chapter? Like,
so at the gym chapter, I got burnt out, man. I really got burnt out. Now, mind you, I was on tour, so now I got into coaching. I got into speaking. So then I said, you know what? I want to start coaching businesses and speaking around the world. And here we go again. And so from then I said, all right, so I started speaking. I started inspiring people. And it wasn't until I was speaking at a conference with Magic Johnson. And I was speaking at a conference, and when I was speaking at that event, the amount of response I got with tears, the amount of response I got with a long line, you know how it is when you go to an event and a person come out, sign books and, take photos. It was a line. And I looked at that line. And everybody came up to me and was like, man, I hang on to every word you say. You're so real. You're so authentic. Man, you inspire me. Things that you were saying just now in this interview, they were saying that. And I was like, wow. I was just trying to make sure I did it in the amount of time that I had so I can get invited to come back and speak the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, I got a story. I have something that people see value in. And it validated my work. Until someone validates your worth, how do you know your worth? It's cool to say, yeah, I'm worth this, I'm worth that. But the reality is everybody wants to be validated.
Yeah, that's true.
Period. And until you get the validation, and even to the point when you get the validation from the person who you want to, it hits different.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was wanting my dad to validate. And the validation that I finally got from him at the time is like, now life is on a whole nother universe. Because that's what I always wanted. So when I was at that event, I got validated by the people there, and I said, oh, this is it. This is my hustle. And so I came back, had to let my clients know, hey, I love y'all. I said I'll never leave y'all, but I'm elevating. So in that moment, guess what? Closed my gyms down. And I said, this is my hustle. And I had to start, guess what? From the bottom again. All the way from the bottom. Boom. So then I went out doing the same thing, growing, but I started from a place of experience. So you never start over. You just start new from the experience that you have. So you always have an unfair advantage in any industry when you have experience in another industry, because all business is the same. It's a product or a service, and it has, fruitful, multiply, subjugate, and dominate. So that's how.
What was that experience literally closing that chapter? You're telling your staff, hey, it was a fun ride.
Well, it wasn't really a staff to say, because right before that, a few years before that, I had, what I didn't tell you was, I lost everything. I went from making 5 figures residually every single month to living inside of my vehicle. And at the time, I had a red Mustang, and I'm 6'5". And imagine sleeping in that vehicle, walking and training clients, fronting like you still got money, fronting like you still the man, and you lost all that money. And it's cold in Chicago. There was times when I was sitting in my car, it would be so cold, and I would be so broke. I said, either I keep the vehicle running and be warm that night, but then I won't have anything to eat, or I turn the vehicle off and be cold that night so I can at least have something to eat.
All right, you gotta. We can't skip over that, because it sounds like you hit your rock bottom and you got back up. So it's like, what were the series of events to even get you to that point? Because you might see somebody struggling, whether on a sidewalk, you can judge them, make your own jump to conclusions of how they got there, assume it's drug use, but entrepreneur, trying your hardest, literally providing value to the world with good intentions. How do you end up in that situation?
So when I was on tour with Tony, it was hard to manage the gyms and everything, and I put it all on Gino's shoulder. He can only do so much. It was a lot on him, and that wasn't really what he signed up for, but he still stuck it through, right? And now I got to expect something of someone else to do what I do, but they're not me. No one is going to run your business like you, period. So to try and manage it being young, and I'm focusing on being a speaker, learning how to coach, learning how to have influence, and over here still managing something where it was too much for me to manage, to the point where I had to come off the tour and come back. But by that time, the bleeding was already, I was almost bleeded out. Money was down. I was paying with my personal money to run the business because there was no money coming in. And the money that did come in, it had to pay the bills. So at that time in 2014, it went from 2013 to 2014. Within a year's frame, I lost over $250,000 worth of business. And I came back to nothing. And I had rented my first gym out to one of my trainers to run their business out of. And they turned and said, no, this is my business now.
They didn't keep their end of the deal in that situation.
No. People are not loyal when they are not getting what they want. I'm telling you, the loyalty is a return on it's a return on trust. If people don't trust you, they're not going to be loyal to you.
You put him in a position
To win. I know.
to operate his own.
In my building.
What?
Look, it'll never stop. Greed and a delusional way of success will always, always win over someone being honest and doing it the right way. Period. And I had to learn that. So I didn't have a job. I went from having 2 to 1. And then the one I did have, guess what? Everything was over. I barely had clients to stay. So then I had to come back and take over the clients that my trainers was training, because I needed to make money and I couldn't pay them. So either they train them and I couldn't pay them, or I take them over. So I had to take them over, but then I had to build the business back up. But now watch this. It was so hurtful walking past my gym every day, seeing the person who I gave the opportunity to in there. And that's where I had to learn humility. There was things that I dreamt of and thought of, and I was like, I know what I'm going to do here. But I said nope, because I had to walk by faith. That's why in all of my videos that you see at the end, what do I say? Remember, when you walk this thing out called life, you walk by faith, because it was nothing but faith that kept me going through after something happened. It was Christmas. My birthday is in the end of the year. Then Christmas is right beside it. So on my birthday, it's cold in Chicago. Years before I had money. This year I didn't. Christmas, years before I had money. This year I didn't. And I said, how is it that I'm getting into my 30s with nothing? I had more money when I was younger. You should have more money as you get older. And so that was humbling for me. And it was that New Year's Eve, man. I said, I cannot go into 2015 like this. Something has to change. And at the time, my clients, they were going to Living Word Christian Center, and it was a church when I went in there, Dr. Bill Winston was there that Christmas, New Year's Eve, and I went in there and he was talking about not having 2015 like 2014. And I was the only reason why I went, to be honest with you, 2 reasons. Well, really 3. I wanted to have a warm meal and I wanted to have something to drink. And then number 2 was I wanted to see how is it that I can get money. That's it. I wasn't going in there trying to rededicate my life. I wasn't trying to go in there and get closer to God. I said I wanted those 2 items. And so I went there. I went there for that. But then it wasn't until like 11:58 at night he was saying, hey, if you're sitting here and you don't want 2015 to look like 2014, take a leap of faith. Get up out of your chair and meet me up there by the altar, and your life will never be the same. And you let Jesus into your life. I was like, man, that's cool. I'm going to do it for myself. And I was in the overflow and annex. And because New Year's Eve, everybody go to church before they hit the club, right? Mm-hmm. So I was out there. It was cool. And then boom, he said, the second call is for those who knew God, backslid, and now you want to come back into the kingdom. Take a leap of faith. Don't be ashamed. God says, if you deny me and you shame for my name in the public, I'll be shameful for you in front of God when your time comes. Mm. I was like, I want to get up, but I'm going to stay right here because I don't want nobody to see me, because I was telling everybody I'm already doing it. So why do I want them to see me? They're going to be like, oh, he was a hypocrite. So I said, but I'm going to do it from my chair. You better believe I was going to do it from my chair. But then he said this at 11:59. He said, this next call is for the person who didn't come on the first call, didn't come on the second call. And you sitting in your chair, you need to know you get your narrow behind up here. And you don't want 2015 to look like 2014. Don't miss your opportunity. And here's that window of opportunity again. Remember I told you. And I said, I do it in business. What if I did it in faith in God? And so from that moment, and my mom was with me at the time, and a friend of mine was with me, and I went up and I said, no matter what, I already lost everything. Can't go to like. So I said, what I got to lose, I already lost everything. So when I went there, my mom was behind me, and she stood there with me at the altar. And it was that night I got baptized and I rededicated my life to Christ. In 2015 until now, in 2023, I stand before you today and sit right here in front of everybody to the world and say my life has changed because of my faith in God. If it wasn't for that, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know what I'd be doing. I don't know. But what I do know is the reason why, and I told God, if you give me back my bread, I'm going to shout out to everyone, let them know it was only because of you. To this day, every time you talk, you're going to hear about my God. Because in 2014, when I was there broke, embarrassed, humble, looking stupid, not knowing which way left, right, he was right there. And he brought me to this place. I ain't going back.
Damn. Amazing how that played out. Like, because you got to hear about somebody's rock bottom to really understand that it's real life people out here. Not everybody was always winning. Wow. So from that moment on, after that day, even after that day, how soon did things start picking up? Things start
that month. That month, it was two trainers. One was a professional bodybuilder, female professional bodybuilder. Another one was an aspiring bodybuilder. And there was another person who was renting my place out. I had 3 people that came to rent my place out. 3 people. Covered the rent. My clients covered all of my expenses. And I had money left over. That month. And then February, the following month, I'm sitting here and saying, how is it in 30 days? I'm looking at my bank account, bills paid. And I'm helping other people. They're coming in, using my facility, and life is back on track. It was at that point I said, ain't no way I'm going back. Ain't no way. And I gave it about another year. Within 2 months after that, I opened my 3rd gym. Now as I opened the 3rd gym, things was rocking out. But guess what was pulling at me? That season of my life was coming to an end. But I couldn't get to the next season of my life with my level of thinking, my level of faith, and how I was living my life. I couldn't get to the next level. And God wouldn't allow me to get to the next level because if I get, you see, there's one thing to go to the next level. When you get there, you're not going to stay there. But it's another thing to grow to the next level. When you grow to the next level, when you get there, you got everything you need from the level before because you outgrew it. But if you go from here to here and you ain't got no growth, you're going to fall every time, or you're going to keep going back and you're going to teeter-totter and you'll never get any growth. And you'll stay chasing your tail, chasing a shadow, and having this convoluted feeling of success.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, man. So, man, this was really cool, man, coming on here, expressing here, man. I can't wait to come back and do it again, man. There's so much more that I have to share. And this is really a cool time that I can express this. You allowed me to really tap back into those moments, you know, those dark moments in those dark rooms and those dark places that I just closed the door and never opened them. But for me to go back and look inside of those rooms, smell it, feel it, it brings overwhelming emotion out of me. And that's why in those moments, you know, I said, this is going to be very real. And speaking from the heart and being straightforward, there's no greater place to be.
Man, I appreciate you opening up, and I learned so much and gained so much from this conversation. Yeah. A lot of things added up and make sense to me and gave me a lot more clarity and even how I need to operate. Yeah. You know, I definitely appreciate that. I always knew you were an example of somebody I want to become in life, with how you move, how you operate.
I know.
You know? Yeah, I was like, man, finally somebody that's, you know, that could lead me to where I'm trying to get to, that's doing what I want to do. Yeah. Man, it makes so much sense now. You know, you had your ups, you had your downs. It wasn't just you winning year after year after year.
It was like, you here for a reason, pretty much.
They left. But man, I appreciate it.
Man. How can the people follow you? Like, every platform, you can shout them out, like, so they say,
yeah, absolutely, man.
What you doing?
I'm on 2 platforms, TikTok and Instagram. So if you want to go to IG, you can follow me at Get Coach Mike. And then if you're on TikTok, you can get Coach Mike now. Then if you want to hit me on my line for more success directly, it's 757-330-5478.
Anything else you want the people to know or be aware of? Is there any like events that you do or these days?
Yeah, so I do an entrepreneurship mastermind that's in March every year, and I do a end of the year VFC getaway that's in Jamaica at the end of the year. And throughout the year, I'm going to be doing little 1-day or 2-day events to really come into certain cities and states near you all and just give you the game.
Right. And you also have clientele which you help out build their business or even just get them to the point where they can run it more efficiently.
Yeah.
You fly out to them sometimes.
Yeah. So I have a 1-day breakthrough session where I teach people about credit, investing, funding, and then I also share with them how to write the vision, make it plain. I have a sales mastery course, and those are truly the biggest things in business. Where once I mastered those areas, my business took off.
Sure. We're gonna get into a lot more of that in the next one.
Say less.
You know, you're gonna see a lot more of Coach Mike.
Coach baby.
Mike, you know,
all day.
So yeah, like and subscribe if you like the content. Follow me on Delete King 850. And stay tuned for the next one. Appreciate y'all for making it to the end. Click on all the links in the description. Cool.
And remember, when you walk this thing y'all call life, you walk by faith.